leader and statesman, President Ruto has dedicated his life to the service of his country and its people, guiding Kenya through a period of... Ladies and gentlemen, Kauffman Fellows, it is my distinct honor to introduce you today to the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency William Ruto. A former leader and statesman, please. A formidable leader and statesman, President Ruto has dedicated his life to the service of his country and its people, guiding Kenya through a period of growth, development, and transformation. I'd like to invite President Ruto, please, to the stage where we can have a fun discussion. You mentioned the Climate Summit. You have a PhD. You also mentioned science. You have a PhD in science. And you just hosted the Africa Climate Summit, where many heads of state signed the Nairobi Declaration. Why do you see this as so important? Why are you so passionate about this? And what should this group of investors know about what the Nairobi Declaration means and what the work that you did at the Climate Summit means for the future?
It's because, narratives are very powerful. For a very long time, Africa was profiled as this continent of conflict, war, disease, and all the negative things. But that's not what these guys are seeing in Nairobi, right? But that's not what we are. We are a continent of opportunity. We are a continent of great potential. And the Nairobi Declaration, my hosting of the Nairobi Climate Summit, is so that we can showcase to the world that there is a different side of Africa. One African writer is called Chinua Achebe. He said, before the lion learned the art of writing, all stories glorified the hunter. Because the stories were written by the hunter, and he always made himself the king. People did not know that the lion may even be better than the hunter. So it's time we write our own story, And the Climate Summit gave us an opportunity to showcase to the world that you have countries like Kenya that have 93% of their electricity grid being green, renewable energy. Many people don't think that that is a possibility, but we've been able to demonstrate to them that is a possibility. And we intend to make our grid 100% green by 2030. And we are well on course in getting it there. And because we live in one globe, there is no north versus south. There is no emitters versus non-emitters. We live in one globe, and if things were to get out of control, none of us is safe. So it is time we began to be responsible. And Africa wants to lead the way. Kenya wants to lead the way. Even as I talk to this investing community here, we're telling them that as you invest in Kenya, have at the back of your mind that you are investing in Kenya in a sustainable environment, in an environment that is responsible to nature, that is aware that fossil fuels, the exploitation of fossil fuels, what is happening to our environment, what is happening to the climate, the effects, cyclones, droughts, famine, and everything that comes with it. Today, we're told that in Europe, they are experiencing the hottest ever summers, including people being evacuated from beaches, because climate change is real. It is not a myth. And I am saying this as a scientist myself. so that people can begin to understand that it is good for us to invest responsibly, making sure that that investment promotes a world that we can not only enjoy ourselves, but we can bequeath to generations to come, because we have done so responsibly by using the kind of energy that supports biodiversity, that gives us an opportunity to reduce the carbon footprint, and making sure that we decarbonize our manufacturing, our industrialization. For example, Kansas City, which is our Silicon Savannah, we're making sure that the energy that is being used on all the operations there, whether it is the data centers, whether it is everything that we are offering to the world, is powered by green energy, so that people understand that there is opportunity globally to be able to do that, and to be able to do business, run our enterprises, run our manufacturing and industrialization, but being also responsible to our environment, to humanity, to biodiversity, and to where we need to go into the future.
This about a year ago, September this time last year. And in that time, through leadership in areas just like you discussed in climate, you've been named one of the top 50 global leaders in the world. In thinking about that, you've now focused on the AU, the African Union, is now part of the G20, and that's something that you've spoken very openly about. Why is that so important for the future of Africa, for the future of Kenya, and why is that so important for entrepreneurs to be able to build great companies in this continent?
You know, Africa, because of our background, was fragmented by colonialism and subdivided into pieces. What we've been doing as leaders in this continent is to consolidate the African market into one single market. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area, an instrument that has been signed in by 47 out of 55 countries in this continent. I think the fastest instrument to be signed ever in our continent is because of the realization that this continent would do better acting together, acting in concert, rather than acting separately. That is why we are focused on the reform of the AU to make it a fit-for-purpose organization to harness the potential of this continent, whether it is the human potential of about 1.5 billion people, by 2050, 2.5 billion people. Actually, a quarter of the world will be living here in this continent by 2050. How do we harness the mineral resources we have that are there in abundance? How do we harness the opportunity for smart agriculture? We have 2/3 of the world's uncultivated arable land. We can double, if not triple, grain production. How do we harness this potential? And that is why we are focused on the Africa Union as an institution. We are focused on its reform. And our participation, of course, in the G20 will give us the platform for us to position ourselves in terms of being a market, to position ourselves in terms of ensuring that we can bring our perspectives, our ideas onto the global space, so that we can influence global policy and trends to make sure that they are sensitive to where we come from as a continent and as a people. I keep using this phrase that it is said that if you are not on the table in the discussion, you possibly could be in the menu. So I think we've been in the menu for far too long.
You're setting the table.
It's time.
Your Excellency, you are an entrepreneur, and you're passionate about technology and entrepreneurship, especially as it impacts the rising generation in Kenya and in Africa. We have a room full of global investors. What would you want them to know about the Kenyan ecosystem that shows them? We've heard a lot about Kenya's open for business, Nairobi's open for business. What would you want them to know about their investments and the potential for investments here in great entrepreneurs in Kenya?
A couple of things. We are leading the way as government of Kenya in leveraging on technology, using technology to deliver government services, as I have said. Government services, we've just distributed fertilizer for the first time in Kenya using technology. We are reaching out on our services to vulnerable communities, about 1.5 million of them, using technology. This morning, and I apologize, I think there was a conflict in my diary. This morning...
We were just getting ready for you, it's okay.
This morning, I was presiding over our Central Bank of Kenya's CSD platform, where it will now be possible to buy government securities on a digital platform by Kenyans or investors from anywhere in the world without having to bother to go and open an account in Central Bank. You can open an account on your phone. That is the level of use of technology to run the affairs of Kenya. I want to tell this investing community here, apart from being a tech or technology understanding country, there is a whole opportunity, not just around Kenya, but using Kenya to get into the East African community, about 7 countries, to get into the tripartite treaty, which is about 27 countries, or to get into a CFTA that will take you to 47 countries with a potential of 55 countries. That is the opportunity that you have, number one. Number two, we are aligning our laws. The startup bill that hopefully we should be able to complete in the next 2 or 3 months will also provide a space for investors to use Kenya, not just as a destination for investment as a country, but to use Kenya as a place where you can deliver your investment opportunities beyond Kenya into the African continent. And number 3, we are aligning all the opportunities so that you can also tap into our young people with fresh ideas, with creative opportunities, with innovative talent to maybe start one of the largest companies. M-Pesa, if M-Pesa is anything to go by, we have a reservoir of many other young people who can do what M-Pesa has done.
You know, you are an entrepreneur and an investor. As an investor, it means that you could actually be the first head of state to be a Kauffman Fellow. And then we could get you one of these pairs of socks. Your personal journey has been one taken from a small village to the presidency. How have the experiences that you've seen from that journey influenced you as a president of this nation?
I think it's just, it is true that it's been quite a journey, but that also speaks to the opportunities that exist in Kenya. The same way a village boy could become president is the same way a small company an MSME can become a multinational. And that's what it is. You know, M-Pesa, for example, is a Kenyan innovation. It's now become a multinational in many respects, whether it is their footprint in our continent or their footprint in the technology, the financial inclusion technology they have provided. And it speaks to the nature and the orientation of not just the people of Kenya, but Kenya as a country. And when I speak to people like the great people sitting in this audience today, I will tell them, if you're looking for a destination of innovative, creative, hardworking, English-speaking people, your destination is here. And when I talk about creativity and I talk about innovation, it's not in word, it is in deed. And it is the reason why we are expanding that opportunity. Kenya being the home of innovation and technology. And it is also the reason why this week I will be in Silicon Valley, because we want to combine the opportunities in Silicon Valley with the opportunities in Silicon Savannah, right here in Kenya. And it is because I believe we have so much to learn from Silicon Valley, just as we have so much to offer to them, especially in the opportunities that exist, not just in Kenya, but in our continent.